Good morning, everyone, and I would like to welcome you all for our ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass series, episode 9, where we will be talking about how you could integrate ServiceDesk Plus with other third-party applications very easily and with help of APIs, and how it can be helpful in enhancing your existing workflows or build new workflows based upon your requirements in the future or based on your present requirements. In the previous episode, we discussed about the integration with Microsoft products like Microsoft Teams, Outlook add-on, and Microsoft Calendar. But let's say you have different set of products out there in your organization which is being used. Let it be a cloud-based application or an on-premise application. So in this episode, we'll be talking about how you could bring these applications into Service Desk Plus and how you could start improvising your existing workflows. So my name is Vishnu Prasad, a product expert here at Manage Engine Service Desk Plus, and I've been with Manage Engine for the past couple of years, and I'm an expert in IT service management and IT asset management. And I'll be host for your episode. So here we are going to be talking about our agenda for today's episode. So we are going to be talking first about how you could build trigger-driven automations with the Service Desk Plus application and other third-party applications using Zoho Flow. Zoho Flow is our Zoho's native iPaaS platform, which helps in integrating two different applications. Later, we'll talk about how you could build low-code custom functions and how you could use for performing automations and enhancing the existing workflows within the application. Third, we are going to be talking about how you could create custom modules. What is the purpose of creating a custom module as it goes beyond the scope of predefined ITSM practices and how you could utilize it in a better way. After that, we'll be talking about how you could build custom widgets and bring third-party applications or web pages into Service Desk Plus application. Fourth, we are going to be talking about how you could build your own Zia chatbot workflow and how you could help the users in easy navigation within the Zia chatbot and how you could improvise the existing workflow of technicians in case if they would like to use Zia for most of the operations instead of navigating the mouse or keyboard within the tool to make certain actions. Lastly, we'll be ending our episode on how you could customize your self-service portal to make the requesters homepage even more beautiful and at the same time showing maximum information on the same page itself and to redirect them to accurate forms or accurate pages based upon the options which are available in the homepage. So let's dive into the last mile customizations in Service Desk Plus. The very first one, which we'll be talking about, is the Zoho Flow integration. So, as I mentioned earlier, Zoho Flow is our native iPaaS platform tool. So, most of you guys would not know about what exactly the Zoho Flow is. So, Zoho Flow, in short, is a tool which helps in integrating two different applications. The applications can either be an on-premise and a cloud, or both can be cloud applications, or both can be on-premise applications. So the advantage of using a Zoho Flow integration is that let's pick a small example where you're trying to integrate Service Desk Plus with Slack. So in this scenario, we do not have a direct integration capability, as you're already aware, with the Slack application. However, you would like to do integration between Slack and Service Desk Plus. So what you have to do is that you will have to understand the APIs, which is needed for building your own script for Service Desk Plus. The same API has to be learned from the Slack application. You will have to combine these two API parts so that each application can accept its own API way and the integration will happen. So this is a lengthy process and it's going to take up a long time to build. And at the same time, it is going to be a complex process. So that's where the Zoho Flow comes into the picture. All you need is to drag and drop certain actions or triggers, and the Zoho Flow does the rest of the work. So the example which we picked is Service Desk Plus and Slack, and that's what we are going to be building in this particular episode. And I'll show you guys how to create a workflow. What which basically does is that when you send a message in the Slack in public channel, this message will be converted as a ticket in the Service Desk Plus application. So let me show you how this can be done. So this is the Zoho Flow application. So the very first process is that you'll need to integrate Zoho Flow with Service Desk Plus as well as the Slack application. So being an on-premise application, Service Desk Plus, to integrate Zoho Flow and the Service Desk Plus application, you will need to download the agent called as Zoho Flow agent and install it into the Service Desk Plus server. So this can be done by clicking on Create Connection, and when you click on this, you will be able to see huge amount of apps which are provided in the Zoho Flow by default. So you could integrate any of these applications with the Service Desk Plus application, and approximately there are 500 plus application which can be integrated with the Service Desk Plus. So let's, as we are building an integration with first with Service Desk Plus and choosing the option as Service Desk Plus and clicking on Next. And what it does is that it asks me to download the agent and install it on the server. So this can be done by clicking on New. Once the agent is installed, I just need to provide a connection name, what is the URL of my application, and finally the integration key. Once these details are filled in, a connection will be created like over here. Next, since we are integrating with Slack, we'll have to integrate Zoho Flow and Slack. This can easily be done again by clicking on Create Connection, searching as Slack. And once you click on it and choose Next, for Slack, it's going to be a very simple process, not as hard as how you saw with Service Desk Plus. Once you provide the connection name and choose Authorize, you will be redirected to a page in the Slack, which basically asks you to log in, and then you will be authorizing the connections or the permissions between the Slack and the Zoho Flow. So once this is done, the connection between the Slack and Zoho Flow also is done. So after this, we'll be building a workflow for this. So let me show you how you could do that. So I've created a folder called Vishnu over here, which basically has the workflows which I've already pre-built. Since we are building it from the scratch, give a new name. So ticket creation. And I'm clicking on create. Once I do this, it asks me to choose the application. So the purpose of this is to make sure which application the entire workflow has to begin with. So over here, our workflow is going to begin with the Slack application. So once it loads up, we'll be choosing the Slack and then configuring the entire workflow. Meanwhile, let it load. I'll show you guys the workflow, which I have already built for this purpose. So sorry, guys. So I think there seems to be an issue with the Zoho Flow itself. So meanwhile, let it load. So I'll show you guys an example of the working first. So over here, this is the public channel, which I've created called as ticket. And as you could see, I've posted the message called as unable to connect with VPN. And before that, I've sent a message as need to reset password. So when I send this message, this particular Slack bot also notifies me that the ticket has been successfully created for those two messages with the request ID. So this notification message is completely customizable, and this can be done directly from the Zoho Flow itself. So let me show you the flow, the ticket which has been created from the Zoho Flow. So this is the flow Flow has created the ticket called as unable to connect with VPN. So if you look at the history, it doesn't show that it has been created from Zoho Flow or something like that. All it shows is it has been created by the administrator. The reason why it is being shown as the administrator, because when we are integrating Service Desk Plus with Zoho Flow, we use the administrative accounts integration key, or when you use a predefined integration key, it picks up as the user as system, so that it shows the creator as the owner of the integration key and not the actual requester, which is myself. Okay, so the Zoho Flow is back. So I'll show you the workflow, which I've predefined built already. So once you click on the Slack and choose the workflow, once you head to the builder, this is where the entire workflow gets built for the Slack and the Service Desk Plus application. Yeah. So as you can see, the first trigger starts from message posted to public channel. So once I click on this, I'll be able to choose from which channel the message has to be picked from. And I choose the channel as ticket. And if it has to be having any criterias, I could do that as well. So once all is done, this particular trigger gets created. Next, what I'm doing is I would like to fetch the user details so that post ticket creation and for ticket creation, I could use this particular user to set as requester and at the same time to send the message that the request has been created. To do that, what I did is I just used this fetch user by ID from the left panel. It's just a drag and drop. So once you do that, it shows up this particular form where you could enter the user ID. So how you will do this? From where you could get the user ID? You cannot provide a static value, right? So to do that, it's simple. So from here, from the message posted to public channel node, which we initially started our workflow with, you could find a string called as user ID. So once you click on it, automatically a dollar variable appears under the user ID column. So once that is done, and once you click on done, the node gets created as shown here. So from there, what we are doing is that we are building a request. To do that, from the ServiceDesk Plus, I'm using the create request node, dragging and dropping it over here, and the form loads up where it asks me to choose the template first. So it all begins with the template. So over here, I've chosen the template as default request. And once the template is selected, it loads up all the fields from that specific template in this particular form. So over here, I could choose a status, priority, request type, categories, modes. If you have created a mode called as Slack, you could do that. And coming to the subject part, since we need to set the message as the subject of this particular ticket, what we are going to do is same as what we did with the user ID. So we are going to click on message posted to public channel and choose this particular message string, which automatically adds this dollar variable called as trigger.text. So what about the request? So you cannot use this user ID because the user ID which is going to be shared is going to be just the regular ID of the user in the Slack application. How you could use a real name or a display name or a first name. That's where we will be considering the fetch user by ID. So what this node does is that based upon the ID, it fetches all the details about that particular user. So from here, I could either use the display name or I could use the full name. So once I click on it, it automatically adds the dollar variable, and this user will be set as the requester when the ticket is created. So post ticket creation, I need to send a notification. So for that purpose, I have used send direct message node. So once I drag and drop this, I'll be shown with this particular form where I could use set the message as ticket has been successfully created and the ID. So for this ID, yeah, I have used the same dollar variable. So once I click on create request node, I get to see all the fields available in that particular request from which I could choose the group or let's say the request ID. All these information can be fetched directly from here. And on top of that, if you need an additional level customization, over here, since I'm sending it as a Slack bot itself, if you'd like to send it as a particular user, you could do that too by choosing the option as choose send as user true and enter the name of the user. Or in this case, you could also use any of these variables to send the notification as one particular user. So once this is done, you could do your testing directly from the test and debug option by sending a message in Slack. So let me show you with one of the already pre-posted messages. As you could see, it shows us unable to connect with VPN and the timestamp, the user ID details, and the channel. So this is the written JSON file when the Zoho Flow uses the Slack API to get the details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on test now, which posts the message channel. It gets the input, This would be the output for the API call done from the service desk, from the Zoho Flow. From the fetch by user ID, what it does is that it passes this user ID captured from here and gets the output with the following details. So from here, it sends the input data with the site details, status, all these things. The output gives as the API call JSON, which we show usually with our scripting. And finally, the notification is sent. So once the testing is done, you'll also be able to see this particular request under the request module. It's directly. You could see 155, which is unable to connect with VPN. So all these things can be done from here. From history, you could see all the history of the records which has been done. And from summary, you'll be able to see how long it has taken to perform a particular actions. So over here, you could see that it is 4 seconds. This occurs if there is a network lag or the connectivity issue between the Zoho Flow and the ServiceDesk Plus application as well as the Slack. So if there is no much of a network traffic, it's going to be very small compared to this number. It can even get executed within a couple of seconds. So by this, you could do a lot of integrations over here. As you could see, I've done a couple more flows as well, which is for creating a change directly from Slack. And similarly, you could also perform certain actions in Service Desk Plus, which gets reflected in the Slack as well. So all these things can be done directly from Service Desk Plus application. So moving on to the next topic, which is custom functions, custom modules, and custom widgets. So all these three custom functions, custom modules, and custom widgets falls under the developer space, which will be available under the admin menu. So all these things are useful for performing your own integrations or automations within the product, or it could be with a third-party application and Service Desk Plus application as well to go beyond the predefined ITSM practices. So let us go one by one with the following functions. So we'll start with the custom modules and then to custom functions and finally to custom widgets. Talking about the custom modules, let's go to the admin part of the application. Under the admin menu, you will find an option called as custom module. So once you click on that, you'll be given a permission to create a custom module. As of now, this custom module is available only for the Enterprise Edition customers of the license type. If required, you could check with our team and we'll try to provide you for the other editions as well. So the purpose of custom module is to allow our users or allow the administrators or the org admins to create their own module to manage or maintain certain set of records or certain set of operations. For example, let's say that you need to do a cab booking within your application itself. So you need to manage it either in an Excel or you'll have to depend on a third-party software for that. Instead, you could create a custom module to perform cab booking operations directly from the Service Desk Plus application itself. Let's say you have a separate instance for your travel purposes within the organization, which is called as Travel Help Desk or Travel Desk. So over there, for booking your flights or trains or any other hotels, you could use the custom modules. We could use custom module for maintaining the set of records of the onboarded employees, offboarded employees, contract employees, temporary workers, and at the same time, you could also use for meeting hall booking within your organization. As you all know, that is something which sometimes is frustrating when we want to go for a meeting and someone else has occupied the meeting hall before us, and you know how it goes. So over here, I'm going to show you guys on how you could do your own custom modules. So once you head to the custom modules under the admin tab, all you need to do is click on new. And from here, you'll need to provide a display name. So for now, let's do that. You're making a custom module to store information about the vendors who will be visiting frequently to your organization. you need to have, let's say you need to have a record on when they are in, when they are out, which department they will be visiting to, all these details. So I'm just going to add as vendor registration. I'm copying it and adding it as a plural name as well. So it can be either used, since it's a custom module, which has to be displayed over here. We're choosing the option as web tab. I'm enabling the feature for reports, business rules, custom triggers, as well as importing the records. If required, you could also import an icon as well. So once that is done and click on save, the custom module is created. Now is the time where we will be configuring this particular custom module. So once you create it, you'll be taken to the form customization page where it loads up a form similar to that of how we have seen with the form creation in the request module. From here, you will be able to create forms. So let's say that I would like to remove these two things. I'm just providing the title. And next, let's say that I'm adding this double column over here. Think this might not be necessary. So a pick list. This is for choosing the department the vendor is visiting. So department I've selected in a pick list tag. So now what we usually do is we click on bulk add option to enter all the departments available in the application, or probably use scripts to load up the departments from the admin panel to the particular field. But with custom module, it's a different picture. So we have this option called as reference entity. So once you click on this reference entity and choose the department, what it does is that it automatically populates all the values under the departments into this particular field. So I've selected the department and I'm clicking as save. I'll show you guys at the time of creating the record how it works. So once the department is added, using this as a double column, now let's provide a single line text field for entering the vendor name, marking it as a primary field and clicking on save. And now comes the date part, how long they will be visiting. Choose the in date. And the next one would be choose the out date. Sorry. So all these things are done. And now we'll move to the sub entity. So sub entity is similar to like how in the request when you visit, you have a tab called as tasks, comments, work logs, details, associations, history. You could also create your own sub entities similar to that from the custom module option itself. For now, we are just going to be adding the comments and the task. Now let's head on to the configurations. So this is where you will be setting the permissions like add, edit, view, who can do all these operations. Over here, what we are going to be doing is user type is user. And then user type is technician. Once I do and click on save, it's going to set their necessary permissions to create records and add records. And once that is done, it is created the custom module. So now what I'll have to do is from the draft status, I'll have to put it to the published one. So when I add it to the publish, what it does is that it will be available over here. So now let's head to the vendor registration. So as you can see, the module is empty. It does not have any records. You could create your own views. Advanced filtering can be done. You could also import records if it exists in a different page. So now we'll be creating a new record. So let's provide the vendor name as Infotech, choosing the date as 24th and the out date as 31. Titless visiting service desk department. So as you can see, when I choose the department, it auto-populated all the departments available in the applications. So when I say choose the service desk plus and click on add, a record will be created within the custom module. As you can see, the custom entities are also present like tasks, comments, and history as well. So this can be used for maintaining your own set of records. We could also import and export these values. And at the same time, with the custom modules, we also have support for the custom functions as well, which is our next topic. So custom function is basically our in-house option to provide the deluge scripting. As you're already aware, in the past, we were primarily dependent on Python scripting for making most of the automations work for the improvising the current workflow or to integrate it with other applications. But that's when we decided to come up with another scripting tool called as Deluge, which was developed by Zoho / Manage Engine itself. So the advantage of using a Deluge scripting is that it is easy to build, easy to learn, easy to troubleshoot, and it's a lot of easewords to all the points when compared to the Python. You need not install the Deluge scripting within the server, similar to that of a Python. All you need is to use our API talk, use the drag and drop features, and start building your own script within the browser itself. You need not have any software. So you could do all the required testing as well within the application. So let me show you guys one of the examples. So for the custom module, I have used a custom function for an example as room booking. As I mentioned earlier, I've built another custom module specifically for booking a room, the meeting room in this scenario. So what is the use of this custom function over here? Or why do I need a custom function? That's where the question lies in this particular topic. So which is, let's say that I have booked the room from today till the next week for a so and so reasons or a meeting or any other reason. So what happens is when the another user tries to book on the same date, the application should not allow them to book on the same dates or on the dates where I have booked this particular meeting room. So to do this particular action or this particular automation or to improvise the workflow, I have built this custom function which does this particular action. So the custom function is kind of easy to build once you understand the basic working of it. You could set variables, you could use the conditions, send mail. All these things can be done by dragging and dropping this particular option from left side and dropping it over here and entering the piece of code. So this relies on your application URL, your technician key, and then the fields. And at the end, you will be able to see the message which will be shown to the user when the dates are not available. So this is one of the example in which the custom functions can be used. On top of that, we have a lot more examples for custom functions. It doesn't rely only on the custom module. You could use it for request, you could use it for project, you could use it for change, you could use it for problem. Sometimes you could also use it for third-party integrations as well with help of custom functions in case you try to retrieve any data from ServiceDesk Plus or when you're trying to post any data to ServiceDesk Plus application. For request, I do have one good example, which is, let's say you're onboarding an employee into your organization. Onboarding employees is something a very huge task where multiple departments are going to be involved in recruiting that particular employee, which starts from adding their details to Active Directory or your HR software tools, providing them with the assets, mail accounts, license, software required for them, and finance teams take care of how their salary is going to be credited. All these bank account details, all these informations are to be handled in one single request. And it's a one single process as well at the same time, which will be a difficult thing as multiple departments are involved. So that's where the custom function comes into the picture. So with help of a custom function called as parent-child creation, which we provide the new installations by default with the application. And also there are steps in our admin guide or in our community forums to build this particular parent-child ticketing script. So what it basically does is that once it reaches a particular status or particular criteria matches, the script executes and creates multiple tickets from one single ticket and assigns this multiple tickets to various departments. So in this scenario, let's say that the user has been onboarded and the HR has filled in the basic details. Now the IT team has to begin with adding the records in Active Directory. Another team has to provide with the asset, another team to take care of the softwares which has to be installed on that particular machine, another team for mail account creation and providing the credentials. Lastly, the finance team for creation of salary account and the finance details of that particular employee. So once the script gets executed, 5 different requests gets created and assigns to the respective group, and they get start working on their own tickets, whereas the parent ticket will stay as it is, and all these 5 requests will be linked with the parent request. So only after these 5 tickets are set to close status, you will be able to close the parent ticket. So by making sure of this, you could have the work organized, and at the same time, multiple people can work together with different requirements at the same time. So most of the scenarios, the custom functions will get executed from automations, custom triggers. You could also execute custom functions directly from business rules as well. On top of that, primarily we use this particular option, which is custom triggers. As you could see, for custom module as well, we do have a custom trigger. So by help of this, you will be able to restrict the users, and at the same time, you'll be able to do a lot of automations and improvise your existing workflows or build new workflows to make the work of technicians and users easy at the same time. Now, jumping to the custom widgets. So custom widgets is a new feature which we have recently introduced in the application. So this starts with building the connection between the ServiceDesk Plus application and the application to which you are trying to build a connection custom widget. So for this, you need to go to admin and then choose the connections option, where it will show you the connections which you will be able to create with a third party application. So for this example, I have built a connection with Zoom. I'll show you guys on how it's going to work. So all you can do is click on create connection, choose the service, enter the service name, service link name. All these things can be found from the respective application, enter the parameter keys, and you can create a service. So once that is done, connection will be created. And from here, you'll have to get this JSON file. So this will be useful for creating your own custom widget at the time of using it. So once the connection is done and you have copied this particular JSON file, now we'll be heading to the custom widget option, where you will have to upload a zip file with certain set of data on it. So this file, how you could build, can be viewed from our admin guide by searching as custom widget, which provides you with how you could develop the app package, how you could create this particular JSON file, what these files contains, and how you could configure the modules. All the sample codes for this is available in this particular document. And at the same time, we do have a ready document for Zoom, Zoho Meetings, and Zoho Assist as well. So once the zip file is uploaded, you could head to the configuration and you could choose from which location it has to be shown. So from here, you could choose what are all the tabs that this particular option should be visible. So let's say that I do not want it on the dash web tab type. I could remove it. Dashboard is not necessary. Request details right panel and request details tab. So once I click on save, the locations will be updated. So now when I head to the request, I could see under the details tab, there's an option called as Zoom, and at the same time on the right panel. So the purpose of this is that when I click on start meeting, it automatically creates a meeting between the person who's clicking the start meeting option and the requester of this request. So from here, you could be redirected to the Zoom automatically, and the session history and the ongoing session details can be viewed from the request itself. So this will be helpful for the technician in case of quick meeting or a remote session is required with any of the applications which you usually use for connecting with your requester. It can be Teams, it can be AnyDesk, it can be a team viewer, or it can be Zoom as well. So it completely based upon your requirement or the applications which you are using already in your organization. So pretty much that's it for the custom functions, custom modules, and custom widgets. Now moving on to how you could personalize the chat experience for the Zia chatbot. So for the users who do not know what is Zia, Zia is basically Zoho's artificial intelligence. It's a chatbot which is available within the ServiceDesk Plus application. So it's very easy to enable this. All you need to do is go to admin, click on Zia bot, and choose this enable option. Once that is done, you could see this Zia icon on the bottom right corner of the application from where the technicians as well as the user can do certain actions directly from the chatbot itself. So this workflow can be customized from the configure Zia workflow option. So this is the predefined workflow which comes when you install the application. Let's say that you need to add a couple of options over here. It's very easy to do it. All you need is to click on this edit option and assign more buttons to it. Let's say add task. Click on save and the option will be available over here. And once you click on it, you'll be able to see what actions it is going to be doing. So if you would like to build your own custom actions, that can be done as well by choosing this action mode. All you need to do is drag and drop this particular node and predefine. There are a couple of actions which we provide. On top of that, if you need to do any custom actions, you could do that by building your own custom functions, which is dependent on our APIs, and you could build your custom actions accordingly. So over here, I've added add task and assign technician to a task. It's a custom button which I've added already in the workflow. So once it is added, I click on save and the workflow gets updated. Now, when I go to Zia and initiate the conversation, it shows raise a ticket, ask for a resource, need more assistance, assign technician to a task. Finally, the add task option, which we have done now. So I'll show you guys how easy it is. So let's say I'm a technician or an administrator who wants to assign a couple of tasks to a template or sorry, to a request. So all I need to do is click on add task. It asks me to enter the ID, which let me choose 155, task details, password, task added. And once I click on task enter, it automatically assigns a particular task to this particular request. Once I click on no, it asks us to choose its experience. Once we do it, it's going to learn from the feedback which we provided. So once we head to the request tab and open the task 155, the request 155, we'll be able to see the task which we have added directly from the Zia chatbot over here, which has the task as password. So this is something which does not exist in the application, but it gets created and added at the same time with help of the Zia bot. So you could perform a lot more actions like this and customize your existing workflow with the Zia bot, with the provided options, or creating your own custom options and actions from the Zia chatbot. So lastly, the last topic of our episode, which is how you could customize your self-service portal. So this can be done by going to Home tab and choosing the Customize option. You see the requester homepage. By default, we provide the following customized pages in a predefined manner, and either you could use the same or you could build a new one, or you could use this and edit the particular template based on your preference. So let's say that I click edit on one of the template, which I've already set by default. Once I do that, the template gets loaded up and it asks me to customize it. So let me show you guys on how you can do this. So let's say that I need to customize this particular font over here. I do not want it as welcome to quantum text help desk. So let's say all I need to do is double click on this, and this panel opens up. And from here, I can customize the content. let's say, welcome to help desk. So once I do that, the font gets updated in the real time. And if I need to perform any actions, I could do that. Or if I could change the font on how it's going to look to the user. Let me make it bold, italics if needed. If needed, I could add colors, font size. All these things can be done directly from here, and also the position of the margin. All these things can be done directly from this particular customization. So let's say you need to add buttons similar to this over here. From the left side, you could choose the buttons option and click to add text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it over here and provide the content as view pending requests. So now under actions, what I'm going to do is search for pending requests, list the pending requests. All I need to do is click on this option and that's it. The button is created. So when the user clicks on view pending requests, it redirects them to show all their pending requests within the application. If needed, you could also create your own HTML snippet or embed certain external links as well by dragging and dropping this particular options. You can also add widgets like portal usage, which will be your product help guide, or the catalog, such as the request catalog or service catalog, or custom widgets as well by uploading them in the HTML or HTML format. So once this is done, all you need to do is save and publish, which will automatically publish this to the end users. So let me show you how it looks on the user's perspective. So let me open a private window for this. Okay, so here we are with the workflow, which we have created. So as you can see, pending request, I've created this button earlier called as view my solution. So once I click on it, it redirects me to the solutions tab and lists all the solutions available in the application. And if I scroll down from the home tab, it also shows me the catalog, incident catalog. So I can also raise tickets directly from here and choosing the template, which takes me to a different page, and I could fill in the form for the ticket creation process. So this would be the end of our today's episode. We talked about how you could customize a self-service portal. We have predefined portal templates, which can be customizable again. You could also use certain themes based upon your actions as well. So this will be our quick recap on what we have discussed today. So we started our episode with how you could integrate your ServiceDesk Plus application with Zoho Flow, which can be useful for integrating any third-party cloud-based or on-premise application within the ServiceDesk Plus application, and how you could build workflows to automate and enhance the existing workflows. We then discussed about custom modules, how you could do it, what is the purpose of creating a custom module, how you could utilize it better, creation of custom widgets for integrating third-party applications or bringing third-party applications into the Service Desk Plus application. And then we saw about how you could build custom functions and what is the purpose of using the custom functions. And we saw about how you could customize your Zia workflow, the chat workflow, how you could add custom functions, custom buttons, custom actions, all these things. And finally, we discussed about how you could customize your self-service portal to display the right services for your end user. So thank you guys. It has been a pleasure giving you guys an episode about talking about how we could bring in the third-party applications into the Service Desk Plus application. I hope this episode was helpful to you guys. So thank you once again. Catch you guys on a different episode.